to the Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent Bailey. And at the tech booth, Jody Cook-Bailey and Luke Cardiel. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. And now, Brent Bailey.
And good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Especially all you folks on the West Coast where it is still morning time. Good to have you with us here on the podcast as we have another great show planned for you today as we have part 3 of our interview with Dr. Mark Sherwood talking about absolute direction and your expanding, if you will, your wellness journey. And I'm joined right now by Jody and Luke over at the tech booth. And guys, let's get this show on the road. We got a lot to talk about today. And I know that these shows with Dr. Sherwood have been very powerful indeed. They've been just absolutely revolutionary. We recorded these several weeks ago, you know, as his schedule allowed us to. And he's been talking about the physical change and then the mental change. And today he's going to talk about the spiritual change and how all three of those have to work in unison in order to really make the wellness approach work. So really looking forward to having him back with us today.
You want to know what the national
today
days
we
are?
got lots of things to talk about in the meantime. What are they?
Let's start with the food.
Of course.
Boston Cream Pie Day.
It goes right along with the wellness shows,
It really does, you know. I mean, dairy is good for sort of.
Do you know what really makes a Boston cream pie?
Tell us.
It's chocolate pudding and the cream meringue on top.
Yeah.
I like donuts with Boston cream in them.
Oh yeah, that's
so
really good.
With some
Yeah.
coffee.
You know, when I was doing my big transformational weight loss, when I lost 150 pounds, I would eat Boston cream pie flavored sugar-free pudding. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It was sugar-free. You know, just those little cups, you know, it was kept me sane.
Yeah. Thank God for those. I mean,
we celebrate today by having a Boston cream pie. So
yes.
Outstanding.
Another one is a national day is National Mole Day. Okay.
Like,
So-
you mean like a mole on
Cindy
your skin?
Crawford mole,
No,
or like
not that.
sneaky,
Not the little animal. No.
like a
it's-
spy.
Like a spy, yeah.
No, not even that.
So is it the unit of measure?
Did you look at on my notes?
No.
Okay. Yes, it is. A mole is a unit of measurement used in chemistry.
Ooh, Luke knows stuff.
I know, man. You have
You're
been
proving
surprised,
yourself to
man.
be smart as of late. I had never heard of that.
I
I've never
hadn't
heard-
either. It's used in chemistry to express amounts of a chemical substance. So,
Okay.
yeah.
If you say so.
Interesting. Yeah, well, you know, that I don't say so.
I never
I didn't
heard of
know.
it, but happy Mole Day.
Happy Mole Day.
All right.
Then another day that I appreciate because I'm from California. The day we recognize the swallows depart from San Juan Capistrano Day. It marks the migration of thousands of swallows. Now,
The bird.
the bird. Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't
Yeah.
even know what a swallow
So
is.
Yeah, it's a small bird.
It's a small
Okay.
bird. So in San Juan,
You're not as smart as you
Not
say,
as smart as I
Luke.
look, I
you
guess.
should've
Yeah.
just kept it shut up.
All right, go ahead.
In San Juan Capistrano, which is kind of near San Diego,
Okay.
I think so. The swallows. I mean, it's something they recognize down there. Is they get in a mass. They go and they. I mean, if you see birds fly together, I mean, they're in a mass. So a swirling
You
mass.
just like saying San Juan Capistrano
I
because it
think
sounds
so.
so good.
It's cool,
It's one of those
right?
words that you'd love to say.
It
But-
sounds like a really good bowl of noodles.
San Juan
Or a
Capistrano?
coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Welcome
kinda
to
weird.
Starbucks.
Let me
Can I
finish
take your
this.
order?
Let me finish.
Yeah,
Oh,
can I have
this
some
is
large?
San Juan
Yeah.
Capistrano.
Some may ask, where did the swallows go? They head for their winter vacation spot 6,000 miles south in Goya, Corrientes, Argentina.
Who asked?
My God.
You said someone asked.
Okay, you
just
get it, smarty. So
I'll have
anyway,
a venti San Juan Capistrano.
does.
Extra cream
it
and
sounds
sugar.
like a coffee. So, but I say that because I've been there and I have seen this as a child. We would take field trips there.
Oh, that's
so
so
it was
cool.
really cool. Yeah, you don't care.
We
California.
took in Oklahoma. We took field trips to the Great Plains.
Yes.
In Kentucky, we went to
There's
the
nothing
tire
there.
fire. I'm kidding.
The tire fire.
It's been burning for 70 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Today is what also known as iPod Day.
iPod
Okay.
Day.
iPods aren't as popular anymore
gonna
because
say,
of
who
the
uses
phone. You can get a phone that's got it built in there, but the iPod changed everything, which is where we get the name podcast from.
Yes.
Today is the day, iPod Day, where you celebrate by listening to a podcast
Yeah.
on your pod of your iPod feature on your phone or your Android, or if you're old school and you got an iPod still.
Yeah.
I wish I still had. I had one of the U2 special edition ones.
Yeah.
I wish I still had that. That was such a cool.
Do you remember the one I had? It was
The
Pink.
one that they.
I think we still have yours.
We probably do.
The little
somewhere.
pink mini.
Yeah.
But mine was a
it still
full size special edition U2 black and red iPod, and it was the coolest. I felt like Fonzie with that thing. Even though those are well after Fonzie's time. So
Yeah,
anyway.
they really are. So.
Yeah, man, I can't imagine like still having to carry one of those things around, like an iPod and a phone and a wallet.
Too
and
many things.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I remember when they before the iPhone came out, they were talking about the next generation iPod and how it was going to have a phone built in it. And there was nobody even knew that they had not announced the iPhone yet or anything. There was just no talk of that. And it was an iPod, but the screen was holographic. And so when you touched it, then the click wheel came up and then the information came up. And of course that evolved into the iPhone, which we all know and love today.
Right. Right.
So anyway,
So the last one, it kind of, you
big
know,
day.
it's a big day. It is TV show talk or TV talk show host.
Oh.
Yeah, because it is Johnny Carson's birthday
Yes,
today.
it
The
is.
king of all. I don't care who's
Yes.
your favorite. Nobody compares to Johnny
Yeah.
as the greatest talk show host of all time. And so they
Absolutely.
named
Love
this
him.
day after him, National TV Talk Show Host Day.
Yeah.
And so now that we're actually on a network,
Yes.
on
You're a
TV,
talk
we
show
are a
host.
TV talk show as
We
well as a
are.
podcast. And so we're so
Yeah.
glad to celebrate with us today. All right. So, and that's going to lead us to the question of the day. Drop down below us right here and tell us who is your favorite talk show host. I know Johnny Carson obviously was the king. A lot of folks will say Letterman. A lot of folks will say Jay Leno or Jimmy Fallon or Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel. But then you got folks that most people forget about, Merv Griffin and Dick Cavett
Yeah.
and those kind of guys who really kind of came along then. They have a great ride at Universal Studios where it's the Jimmy Fallon experience, but
It
it's a
is.
history of the Tonight Show. So there's all kinds of things. Conan's in there and Jay Leno and the older gentleman, I can't remember their names are escaping me, Steve Allen, and there was one more. There was another two hosts before Johnny on the Tonight Show. So anyway, it's really fascinating when you go in there, and it's a really cool thing.
You know who I
It's
kind of
very
liked
cool.
as a kid was Jon Stewart.
Oh, The Daily Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That was pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Happy celebrity birthday today to Deadpool himself. Ryan Reynolds turns 43 today. That's all the older that guy
Seriously?
is. He's got to be older than that. He's got to be closer to my age.
Probably not.
I'm going to say he is. Anyway, soccer legend Pele is 79 today. You know what? Now listen, growing up in northeastern Kentucky, we weren't exposed to a lot of soccer. But I remember reading the little book about the great Pele out of the library when I was a kid. So, happy birthday, Pele. Weird Al Yankovic is 60 today.
Happy birthday.
He's one of the funniest human beings on the face of planet Earth.
Yes.
I
All right.
listened to him so much as a little kid.
And let's see, was there anybody else?
I thought it was the
that's
funniest
not
thing
a
in the
TikTok
world.
star. Yeah, he was. He was absolutely the best.
He was
So,
very funny.
I
Well, he
think
still
that's.
is.
I think that's all. All right, so that's what's going on in the country today. Let's jump in with our guest for part 3 of our interview of Expanding Your Search. Dr. Mark Sherwood is a great friend of the show. He's been with us for 3 shows in a row where he's absolutely giving us incredible direction on expanding our wellness journey. And you say, what is wellness? That's where we actually are becoming healthy and preventative in our health, so that we're not always going to the doctor. We're not always, sick. We're living a well lifestyle. And the information that he's been giving us so far is absolutely incredible. He and his wife, Michelle, run the Functional Medical Institute out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they help with medical conditions as well as preventative and wellness measures as well. So that's going to bring us to our guest today, Dr. Mark Sherwood. And as we welcome Dr. Sherwood back on, it's always great to have you here. And man, last time, holy moly, you were just nailing it to the wall. That was so good to help with the emotional side of things and how we really use food to meet us at every emotional turn that we have. So as we are getting into this, let me ask you this before we talk about the spiritual. This is me admitting guilt in some areas of my life. There are some times that people just eat out of boredom.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about that too? Because I know that's something I struggled with in my life. Just, I'm bored. What can I do? I'm going to go to the refrigerator and fix a sandwich.
Well, it goes back to the concept, Brent, and yes, last episode we talked about this ability to be quiet. You can tell if you're stressed out or not if you sit down with the target to sit down 10 minutes and don't say anything or do anything, and you feel jittery and you have to do something. This is our body fighting the addiction to stress. And so this concept of boredom eating is really the overt representation of being overstressed. We're not content where we are, and what causes us to go to the refrigerator and those things is, and we never gravitate to the refrigerator to go eat a salad. We're going to gravitate to the refrigerator to grab something that's going to stimulate that dopamine, which is that feel-good, reward-oriented neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. So we got to get back to the point and realize that the real appetite within us is driven by our Creator, which I'll prove to you in a minute, so that we can activate our hunger mechanism to gravitate towards nutrients that come from the ground that make our body function properly so that we can live appropriately.
Wow. That's so good. I know that in my own life, I have struggled with that myself, to sit still for just a few minutes. Even when it's, and I know we're going to talk about the spiritual today, even when it's reading the Bible or whatever, spending time with God, I find my mind wanting to go, oh, you got this to do today, and oh, you got to do that today, and oh, you've got this to do today. And I've on purpose told myself multiple times, okay, yeah, you do got to get that stuff now, but we're gonna stop, and we're gonna just stay right here, and we're gonna finish reading the Word. We're gonna spend time with God, and we're just gonna be quiet for a minute. And it pays off. It really does.
It does, and that's a very good point, because there's a breakover point, Brent. It's a battle. It's a battle for the renewal of our mind, if you will. And in that battle, we have to press on, press forward, so that we can cross over into that place of peace. Because when we don't have peace, watch this. This is really cool. We don't have peace in our psyche or peace in our emotions. We're really in a state of dis-ease, dis-ease. So lack of peace, lack of function. So many people, and this is a sort of a probably revelatory idea, most manifestations of physical diseases are manifestations because of spiritual brokenness. So we need to get quiet, stop, realize it requires great focus and attention to work through that battle. And like you just described, well said, you persistently, with intentionality, work through it and force yourself to get into that place that you know you needed to be. And that's something we must do, not on Sundays. We got to do that every day and make it a priority, because as I've said many times, you get 1,440 minutes per day. That's what you're given as a gift. There are no refunds. There are no buyer's remorse. What can you do with that? And we've given you 10 minutes based on the last program just to get quiet. And that's 10 minutes that can be spent in a constructive way to battle and get to that breakover point where you can find and discover and really realize true peace.
Okay, so I'm gonna probably touch on something, or get you to touch on it, because it's not popular. Most people want things to just naturally happen, and if they have to push through and work through it, it really is so discouraging for people that they'll just give up and they just quit. And this is a totally weird example, but I watch my kids play video games sometimes, and if a level gets too hard, I don't care if I beat the game. I can't beat that one, so I'm just going to give up. On a broader spectrum, so many people are doing the same thing that if they feel like they have to really push through, it's too hard, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, we've got to change the thinking. Life is not a light switch. Life is a dimmer switch, and it comes up brighter and brighter the more we live that way. And we got to learn to live like that. You know, we've heard about life being a marathon, but look at it as a dimmer switch, man. The more brighter it gets, the more brighter it is. The more brighter it is, the more brighter you want. And you begin to see things differently. So if we begin to transition like that, stay with it, the dimmer switch will be turned up over the course of time, and we will sort of experience the light. In this case, I'm talking about the light of God, but, you know, if you don't know God, that's fine. You know, we still need to see the light of day, if you will, and the light of life, because life is not meant to be just a bucket of misery. And we always are striving in America primarily for this quick fix or this light switch thing. That's not how life operates. It doesn't work like that. I wish it did. And the same is true with our spiritual journey too. No one in this earth is going to be perfect. But I tell you what I'm going to be. I'm going to be real practiced. The more practiced you are, the more times you will visit this destination called excellence on the way. And that excellence might not be perfection, but it needs to be a habit that you get. The habits of excellence start with practice. Practice yields this concept that we're trying to get, and you've got to practice to get the light brighter and bust through those plateaus. If you don't do that, you will remain the same, and you'll set your bar of mediocrity right here, and it will become all you'll ever be. Because we are designed to live up here different. And that ties very well into what we're talking about. You know, this as God's people, we're called to be exemplary as if we don't live here, because we really don't. We're just passing through. We're supposed to be representing a kingdom that is different in culture, in values, in morals and ethics, in appearances and behaviors and habits. That is not represented here on earth unless we bring it as a representation.
And so in a real layman's terms, we can just say to people, listen, that's not God. Just because something's difficult or challenging, it's not God trying to tell you not to do it.
No, actually, you know, faith, well, you've heard it talk. We preach that faith is a muscle. You got to exercise it. Your immune system, very applicable for today's, you got to exercise it to get stronger. Man, you got to exercise everything in your body to get it stronger. Actually, you know, the faith walk is about, you know, I think the Apostle Paul says, I'm going to do it with fear and trembling. I think of this illustration that is pretty funny. When I'm lifting a heavier weight that's maybe heavier than I did last time, I start shaking a little bit, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know one thing. I don't want that thing to fall back on me, so I generate something in me that's allowed me to push it a little bit harder. So this concept of resistance many times is not God saying don't do it. It's saying God saying do it, but lean on me for the strength to find your reserve so that we can build in you what I want to build in you.
And so that brings us really squarely into the spiritual, to the side of wellness, the physical, the emotional, but the spiritual really is kind of the anchor for the whole thing, isn't it?
It is, and we must understand that the idea of the Garden of Eden, you know, that Adam and Eve were there, and remember, God gave them appetite, or they would have just looked at the plants that they were supposed to eat and said, gee, what beautiful flowers we have here. You know, so we know God created appetite. We also know that that appetite was disturbed when Satan attacked that concept of that relationship by giving him something, another temptation to eat. Interestingly enough, that's the same temptation he uses today, because you look at, you know, Jesus, when he was led off in the desert, when he got back after 40 days, the very first temptation was turn this stone into bread. You know, so it's the same thing we're doing right now. If we are unhealthy and we have an unhealthy relationship with this concept of plants, foods, nutrients, we're going to be unhealthy as well emotionally, and it's going to bleed over into our spiritual health because, man, I would rather, and this might sound a little bit different, but I would rather share with my friends and colleagues multitude of praise reports than I would multitude of prayer requests. Can you imagine a world where we as Christian people would persistently share praise reports and prayer requests would be few because we're all walking in health? That would be brilliant. But I submit that that's God's intent for us as people, because the concept of walking in health, Brent, should be as normal as reading your Bible, praying, worshiping, eating right, exercising or movement. This should be the normal walk, very foundation for the believer, because we need to stick out. We need to be different. We need to be counterculture.
So let me ask you this: what is it that you in the human condition that you think is so addicted to the drama of everybody pray for me, the world's falling apart? It's almost like we live to live there.
We do. It is addictive, because here's where it starts at. Maslow had this hierarchy of needs, and one of them was to be loved, right? We want to be loved. And I've seen people that are absolutely, and please, listeners, don't take this wrong. This is a constructive observation for us for introspective healing. I have seen people that are addicted to getting attention by continuing to throw down the sick card. That's their identity. I am type 2 diabetic. I am heart disease. I am cancer. I am autoimmune. And it just goes on and on and on because they know it works. We need to stop that and realize that if we begin to relabel ourselves, I'm a child of God. I'm walking healthy. I'm walking well. I find it super simple to put good foods in my body because they're always supplied according to whatever I need. And I move often because I enjoy movement because it's a celebration of life. And I live my life in a way that's representative as an ambassador of a kingdom that's not of this world.
You guys, I hope you're catching this. This is Dr. Mark Sherwood, Functional Medical Institute of Tulsa, Oklahoma. As we really go to head down the final stretch here, if people really want to get a foundation under them and get their spirit in the right direction, I know that a lot of our folks are already believers, but really the foundation is a relationship with Christ, isn't it?
It is, and you got to know who you are, man. You got to know whose you are. And look, Brent, I mean, if you realize this, and I know people are believers, but we need to really be believers by believing in what we say we believe in. And it needs to be action. It's not just a bunch of words. Words are like clanging cymbals that mean nothing if they're not matched tangentially with action that does the same thing. So if we understand whose we are, and we understand that when Jesus walked the earth, he healed people. He didn't manage diseases. He healed people. And the greatest testimony is a healed or healthy life, physically, emotionally, spiritually. If we can walk in a healed life, Brent, people see that. And that is what the disciples did. That is what all the followers of Jesus did. That is the way they walked around. And they walked around and, man, I thought you were dead, but now you're alive. Think of Lazarus. I mean, it's like crazy to think about how we've subtly shifted away 1 degree at a time from really God's best and intent for our life. And we've misidentified ourselves, again, inappropriately, with sickness and disease instead of identifying ourselves with complete health and wellness the way God's intention is.
Folks, I hope you've enjoyed these last 3 shows with Dr. Mark Sherwood. We're going to put his information up on the screen. Guys, if you really want to get more in depth of what we're talking about here, you can find it right there at the fmidoctor.com. That's he and Dr. Michelle, his wife's website. They are always accepting new patients. They do things remotely. You don't have to live in Tulsa in order to be able to be one of their patients. And you can reach out to them on Facebook at FMI Doctor, on YouTube at FMI TV, and a lot of their videos and things are small, short nuggets of things that you can watch. Very entertaining, very well done. That's our interview with Dr. Mark Sherwood. Such great information. And now let's stop for directions. As we journey through this wellness lifestyle that we're choosing to go down, there are so many things that Dr. Mark's talked about over the last several interviews where he talked about the physical change and how rest is important. He talked about the mental change and how it is to fix your mind on things. But then today he really talked about the renewing of the spirit, and that is the thing that will make the biggest difference for you, is to have that new spirit in control of what you're doing. Paul said in 2 Corinthians, he said, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. And that means this, that your spirit man has been made new. He's perfect and new, and actually the more control you give to him, the more effect he'll have on the inside. We used to sing a song years ago that said something on the inside is working on the outside. You have a new spirit in you. That means you have the strength, the fire, and the power of God living on the inside of you, that if you'll give him the control, that spirit man on the inside of you, he will actually cause the change that you need to make happen on the outside. As we turn our attention towards New Year's resolutions, and you start turning your attention to changes that you need to make, look to the inside first. Pray. Ask God to strengthen you by what the Bible calls the inward man. If the inward man's strong going into this, walking in the newness that God's given you, he will start to affect the outside. That doesn't mean that we just sit around and pray and still eat pizza and chips all the time. No, we're going to pray and allow our spirits to listen to God, who's going to help us control our appetite. He's going to help us to eat the right things, to make the right choices. And we're going to walk in that. And we're going to see our lives change. And our prayer for you is that your new year is filled with an expanded wellness journey. Thanks so much for being with us. That's going to wrap it up for the show today. And I'm so grateful for Luke and for Jody, and I'm so grateful for you for coming by and being with us today. We've got so many other great things planned for you. We enjoy being with you right here each and every episode, so stay tuned. We've got so much more in store for you. Good job today, guys. My thanks again to Mark and Michelle Sherwood. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day. I hope you found what you were looking for as you took the time to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @ExpandingYourSearch on Facebook and Instagram, and @ExpandingSearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We're available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search and stop for directions.